What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to do a quick tutorial for you showing you how to take a few different images. We're going to stitch them together into one and how we're going to edit this photo. So I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Please don't be shy to drop a comment on what you think of this process. If you maybe know a better way, I'm going to be using Lightroom. We can use Photoshop as well, but today we're specifically going to be using Lightroom. So let me know what you think, guys. Thanks for watching. Here we go. Hey guys, and welcome to my PC. So the first thing, I've already opened up Lightroom, but the first thing you're going to want to do is open up your Lightroom. Then you're going to find where your images are. So as you can see, I've got them all here. And just to take note, let me just check that they're all fine. Cool. So just to take note, as you can see, these are portrait shots. They're not taken in landscape mode. The camera's taken on the side. And I actually found this tip from Thomas Heaton, who's one of my favorite photographers. He says that you get way more information and you get this bottom part and you get way more of the sky, which I think is quite true, because if you look at, I think this is this was a landscape shot. And if you look at the sky there and how much of the houses you get in the bottom and how much of the sky you get in, the difference with those two is massive. You've added on a whole nother section. So panoramic wise, I do take some just in landscape mode if it's really, really big. But I find in portrait mode you get a lot more information, specifically for mountain ranges or for things that are quite big. So first thing we're going to do, guys, is we're going to select the first one, we're going to go to the last one, we're going to hold down shift and we're going to select them, and now it's going to select everything. And then we're going to right click, we're going to go to photo merge, we're going to go to panorama. Okay, so now it's chosen everything. There is like little bit of blurring going on where there was stitching. I can even see a wave, I think is not joining correctly, but we're going to keep. I just actually want to see what perspective looks like. Sometimes blows it like way out. I think it's done over there. I didn't really see much of a difference. Check cylindrical, that's terribly off. This one might probably be the best off. There's a little bit of blur here, but not much. So I do select auto crop, because then when it does kind of just import it onto my timeline here, it's already cropped out the areas that didn't fit. Auto settings is really basic adjustments that Lightroom makes for you, so I'm not interested in that. And create stack, I don't want to create a stack right now. Boundary warp, if the image is warped, which I have, if I use perspective, sometimes you get a warp, you can adjust it that way, but I never really use that either. So we go to merge, it's going to set it all up here. While it's doing this, I just want to let you guys know what system I'm running. So I've got a Dell laptop, Dell G5. I'm running that on LG ultra wide. I think it's a 27-inch, really nice big screen for editing. And I've got a Core i7 8th gen. I think it's an 8750H CPU, nice and fast 6-core CPU. I'm running a GeForce GTX 1050 Ti graphics card, 16 gigs of RAM, and it's all running off an SSD, so pretty quick computer. But I found that the Adobe product, especially stacking and doing kind of anything with really high resources, my PC still battles sometimes. But anyway, we are done here, so let's go take a look. Of course, that's what our panoramic's looking like. You can see here, guys, there's a definite mismatch and quite a bit of blur within there too, where it has been stitched. So this isn't ideal. It doesn't look great if you are going to be printing this, and I wonder if that's because I've taken so many so many shots. I think it was, how many was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had 7. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm not going to be printing this. This is basically for social media, and when the picture becomes, you know, really tiny as they do, it's not probably going to be much bigger than that. You're not really going to notice those smudges and blurs. But usually I wouldn't be happy with that at all. So let's go show you the basic editing. First off, we go into the crop section. I just like to go auto, see if it straightens the picture at all, which it did ever so slightly, 0.45 degrees. And now it has exposed a little bit of the parts that were cut out during that processing of the panoramic. I don't know what you call it. What do you guys call it? Drop a thing in the comments. Is it a panorama? Is it a panorama? Is it a panoramic? Is it, I don't know. I just call it a panoramic because that's what it seems to be. Okay, so that part's done. I like to go to Adobe Landscape. It just kind of brings out a bit more dynamic range. Then usually what I would do, but I didn't do it on this one for some reason, is I would hold shift and I would minus the whites there, and I would keep holding shift and I'd double click on the blacks. Now what that does is it pushes the histogram right to the side and right to the side. As you can see at the bottom here, when I go here it says blacks, when I go right to the side it says whites. So it kind of stretches out your histogram. Anyway, it didn't move the black much at all. So now also what I would usually do is drop the highlights way down to get all the color out of the sky, but I know that it's, let me just move it slightly. You see, if I drop it all the way down, it becomes heavily saturated, that color at the back there. So don't really want it to be so saturated. I want a bit of exposure here. That looks alright to me. And then what I'd do is I'd bring out shadows if the light was, you know, wasn't great, but the light wasn't great. This was really early in the morning, but I don't really want to bring all of that out because when you take a look, because it was low light, very noisy on these buildings. So that's just not going to work. I think we just keep it quite dark. Might even add a bit of contrast to darken it a bit more and bring out a bit more color in the sky. Cool, so we're going to leave the exposure. Clarity, I'm just going to bump up ever so slightly to 10, maybe a little bit more. There we go, brings out a nice reflection in the water, gives the clouds a bit more life. Dehazing I'm not going to touch because look what's going to happen to the sky as I touch it. It makes it really, I don't know what you'd even call it. It looks very manipulated. So we're going to leave that. Vibrance, slight, I'll probably just do a 4 or a 5 saturation. Don't even need it. Look at that sky, it's so beautiful. Cool, so that is that part done. Basics are done. Tone curve, I'm just gonna add a really small amount of curve here. Really small. What that does is, you can't see it now, but it does create a little bit of that classic S. And I like what it does to the water and stuff, bringing a bit more light. It brings out the reflections, brings out the highlights a bit more. So we're not going to go mess around with the color. I actually might with the illumination on the yellow. Is it yellow? So in case you don't know, you can click on this little guy on the side and go over here, and it's going to tell you exactly which colors are being affected by what. As you can see, it's selecting now. So I'll hold it there and it is yellow. I'm going to just drain a little bit of that yellow out. It's a bit too strong for my liking. Cool there, so it's just up a little bit. I'm not going to add any saturation, or I was thinking maybe of just messing with a little bit of blue for the sky, but it's just changing the clouds. See, it makes them really dark. Maybe lighten it a bit, give it a bit more of a real feel. Okay, down to detail. Now if we were going to be messing with any of these buildings, what I would do is I would add a bit more sharpening, add a little bit of masking, and then quite a significant amounts of noise reduction. I'm just adding a bit of detail too, and you can see it smoothed that building out really nicely, and it's smoothed out here a little bit. I'm not going to touch anything else in there. And then we're going to go to lens correction. I should have done this at the beginning because this can change the whole image. Remove chromatic aberration, and we're going to enable profile correction. So it's going to instantly select Mach 24. See, but now it's really, see, I'm actually not going to use this, and I'm going to tell you why. If you can see on the side here, it's brought out like a crazy highlight where it's almost like a white vignetting. You can see it clearly here. It's definitely white vignetting. So I don't like that. I'm going to turn that off. It's just going to restore the image to what it should be looking like. Transform effects, nothing else. That's all. Cool. So that's basically what my procedure looks like. I'm actually quite upset with the fact that this has done this blurry thing. Doesn't often do that to me, but if this was a tiny little Facebook picture or anything like that, you really wouldn't notice. And you look at it, I like to look at this little frame on the side because I don't think pictures are much bigger than that on Facebook, and I mean, that's beautiful. It's really striking. Cool guys, so that's basically how I do this. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've learned something. Don't be shy to drop any comments on what I could have done differently. If maybe you know that there's a way I could have got rid of that blur somehow. I don't know, in camera everything was stable, everything was on a tripod, so I'm not sure why it did that. As I said before, it doesn't often happen to me like that. Let's take a look at some of the other images I got of that morning. That was quite pretty. Look at that silhouette. See, we've got this that that's blurry as hell. I think I did some of these, or most of these handheld. And if you guys saw the shot that I got, really wanting to print this. I think it's beautiful. So how I did this, I'll show you in another thing about exposure stacking, or what's it called, bracketing. I think that was the original, or one of the originals at least. I know it's definitely been edited that. Kind of sharp for such a low light, but this whole outside sky there was blown out, which wasn't amazing. Oh, cool guys, so that's basically all I've got for you. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that lovely bell button so that you get notifications in the future about future tutorials. And again, don't be scared to drop comments about anything you'd like to see, anything I can do for you guys. It's been awesome. Thanks a lot.